Order. Honourable members, I would like to announce the presence in the gallery of the Speaker of the Namibian National Assembly and past President of the IPU, Speaker Gurirab, who is here to attend the consultative seminar. Welcome to our Parliament, sir. The first item on today's order paper is addressed to the President. As you know, members may press the to talk button on their desks if they wish to ask a supplementary question. The first question has been asked by the Honorable B.N. Dambuza, the Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, at the recent high-level meeting of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, ANECA, it was estimated that an amount of 50 billion US dollars is exported out of the African continent illegally every year. This is done through tax evasion, incorrect invoicing, import pricing, and the underpricing of exports. According to information given to the African Union, countries most affected are South Africa, Algeria, Egypt, Morocco, and Nigeria. The flow of illicit finance severely undermines the possibilities for socio-economic development across the continent. It reduces tax collection, cancels investment, and undermines free trade as it removes resources that could otherwise be used for poverty alleviation and economic growth. Government has measures in place to address this challenge. The Financial Surveillance Department of the South African Reserve Bank, responsible for the administration of exchange control, continues to detect and deal with unlawful financial outflows by people who bypass restrictions placed on the movement of funds exceeding certain thresholds. In addition, the Financial Intelligence Center processes information from a range of financial institutions, such as banks, in order to prevent money laundering and terror financing. In the previous financial year, the center referred cases to the value of 66.1 billion rand to law enforcement agencies and its South African Revenue Service for investigation. The South African Revenue Services has also achieved significant success in identifying, seizing where appropriate, and prosecuting those involved in illegal imports, the under and over invoicing of imports and exports, as well as value-added tax fraud. During the current financial year, SARS has already allocated 1.4 million articles of clothing and footwear valued at almost 580 million rand. It has seized drugs worth 139 million rand and 683 million sticks of cigarettes valued at 180 million rand. In addition, African Revenue Service has offered amnesty to encourage culprits to come forward. Government will work with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa to contribute to stemming the tide of the illicit financial outflows from South Africa. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable President, is there a supplementary question? Honorable Tambuza.
Honorable Speaker, diabulela President we nge endulo yakho ecacileyo kwaye sibulela kakhulu ukuzinikezela nokuzibophezela kukarhulumente waseMzantsi Afrika ukuqinisekisa ukuthi esisenzo sincothulwa kunye neengcambu. Siyambonga urhulumente ngesenzo esinjalo nale nxaxheba yokokubana kuqinisekiswe ukuthi la mazwe angongxowankulu nawo ayasondezwa ukuthi aqinisekise ukuthi nawo ayawavala amazibuko kuba xa amazibuko siwavala ngapha evulelwa kwelacala kubonakala kuyingxaki leyo. Siyayibulela ke lonto, President.
The Honorable the President.
Ndiyabulela somlomo. Hayi sizawuqhubeka sisebenzisana nalamazwe kuba kunyanzelekile uba xa abantu behwapiliza imali beyikhupha ngongekho mthethweni benza amatyala kunyanzelekile uba ukuze kufumaneke umcebo wakuthi ubuye uzapha ekhaya so sawuqhubeka senze njalo. Ndiyabulela somlomo.
I thank the Honorable President. I have the following names on my list. It was a bit of a technical glitch. The Honorable Kurenov, J.J. Kurenov, Van Kurenov, Reverend Mishwe, and Honorable D. Ross, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. President, as you have said that the report on illicit capital outflow shows that it is mainly attributable to kickbacks, bribery, and trade mispricing, and favoritism towards multinational corporations. And in many instances, heads of state and governments cooperate. In Sierra Leone, the capital flight was 425% of their GDP. In the DRC and in Zimbabwe, north of us, the flight was 344% of GDP. We are one of the big 5 losers in the world. This is serious. Should you not think, Honorable President, that this must be higher on your agenda? And is it not possible to take more steps than just simply using the ordinary machinery available to you in the state?
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thought I did indicate what the government is doing. Even indicated what has been successes of those efforts. Now, of course, the honorable member has a right to think that you could do something more, only if he made the suggestion as to what is it that he thinks we are not doing that we need to do. Because in fact, putting intelligence organizations, very sophisticated, I'm not saying I wish I knew what else. And unfortunately, it's not being helpful to say, much as we tabulated all of this is another thing that we can do. It would have been very useful if we did so. So far as government is concerned, we are doing our best. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable President, the Honorable Mishwe.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable President. Now, from some of the countries that you have mentioned that are also from this outflow of illegal capital, many of them have a lack in administrative capacity to put a stop to this theft of African resources. Now, what I want to know is what role, if any, government do or play to help countries that do not have sufficient administrative capacity in order to stop this illicit outflow of capital from our continent, as we all know that these are resources that we desperately need to build more houses and better roads for our people. Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Of course, the only thing we can do is to exchange information with these countries, because I don't think we could impose and tell them what to do, what not to do. They are running their own countries. In the relations between countries, countries do say we need this help, particularly after the knowledge and exchanging of information. Certainly, if there was such a request, we'll certainly do what we can. But what we cannot do is to impose on them running their own countries. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable President. The last question will be asked by the Honorable Ross.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable President, Global Integrity estimates that South Africa lost approximately 650 billion rand in illicit financial outflows, and that was in the last decade. Honorable President, approximately half of this was lost through corruption, bribery, and kickbacks. What additional specific steps will government be taking, Honorable President, to prosecute these crimes, perhaps using the Special Investigating Unit, particularly when cases involve families who are connected to high-ranking government officials? And how will government prevent these crimes? Will South Africa again look at our current measures or legislation, perhaps the role that the private financial institutions will be playing to strengthen and prohibit the illicit flows of money? Thank you, President.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Certainly, the Honorable Member knows that we continue to take measures against the wrongdoings. I think we have a number of cases, more than any other time, that are being investigated. We've signed a number of proclamations. Wherever we come across corruption, we act. And I've said here, even in the past, that it would be very useful for honorable members if they have information, very definitive information. They should say, government, here is a case. Because at times, to make a generalized statement, it really doesn't help that much, except just to make us aware that there's corruption. But if you say, we know for a fact, here is a case, and we have acted once such information comes. So we are not going to change, and there's going to be no favor, no fear. Wherever there is corruption, we act. So we'll continue doing so. Thank you.
Question 2 has been asked by the Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. when I announced the establishment of a commission of inquiry into allegations of fraud, corruption, impropriety, or irregularity in the strategic defense procurement package in September 2011, I reiterated the importance of dealing decisively with a matter which is no doubt of public interest. Consistent with this announcement, I will, on receipt of the Commission's final report, deal with the said report in a manner that acknowledges both the public interest as well as the principles to which I am enjoined to constitutionally give effect to. Out of respect for the Commission and the responsibility which attaches to their work and deliberations, I will not predict or prejudge the future. I will be guided by the recommendations of the report, including whether it should be made public or not. To do otherwise would unfairly prescribe to the Commission the manner in which its recommendations should be framed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honourable members, order. Order, honourable member. Is there a supplementary question, Honourable Leader of the Opposition?
There is, Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much. Mr. President, this saga has engulfed our country for over 10 years now, and there's a great deal of public concern about the fact that this report will not be made public because it might implicate some senior members of the government, even senior members of your own cabinet. This will only cast further doubt about whether or not this government is committed to exposing corruption and to making South Africa a place that is not a destination for shady people to do shady business. I honestly believe that if you think that the public interest and the principles to which you are enjoined are the issue at heart, then you have to commit to this House that you will release the report and that you'll make it public within a reasonable time frame, say 3 months, of its being tabled to you, in order to give the assurance that this government will not tolerate corruption within its senior ranks.
The Honourable, the President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, the report is not yet done. It's not yet done. You know, people were saying, investigate this arms deal. There was a big hullabaloo about it. Lot of speeches. We then took a decision to set up a commission of inquiry. Now, the commission of inquiry is just about to start. There is now a debate about what will happen. You know, that's a debate here, Zangom. Funa spule manje. Funeka spule sithi hizwa. Uma siphumele hizwa. You know, if honorable members could wait until the report is made and there are clear recommendations made by the Commission, then you ask at that point, what are you going to do with this report? I think the question would be very legitimate. Much as the President will have to be guided by the recommendations. But to begin to debate that issue now, what else? Bungoma lobo, siyobhula man. Shaz sithi hizwa. Really, I don't see any logic to say, if this happened, what then will you do? Just like going to the doctor. If the doctor diagnoses you What will you do? You don't know what the diagnosis will be. You must now discuss it now and what you'll do about it. I don't think that is fair. It's not fair. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order. I thank the Honorable President. The following names appear on my list. Honorable Khanare, Honorable Guam, and Honorable Singh, in that order. Honorable Khanare.
Honorable President, my question is prompted by statements and responses given by former President Thabo Mbeki and yourself, sir, as former Deputy President in this House on this issue. As you crafted the terms of reference of this commission, sir, did you create a room for Hansard to be consulted in order to cross-reference the outcome of the investigations and what was said before? My question is because Honorable Lekota, who was the Minister of Defense and now the leader of COPE, has put it on record in this House that he's prepared to subject himself to public scrutiny. Are you prepared to do the same, sir?
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We have set up a commission, and the commission will have information before it, and it will have the kind of people it will be able to ask questions. And those people will have to go to the commission, whoever the question is. Could be Terra Lekota, who was then the Minister of Defense then, now the leader of COPE, or the Jacob Zuma was a deputy president then, now the president. Fact of the matter is this is a commission of this country that must get the truth. Whoever will be called by the commission will go. I don't think there is any difficulty on that one.
I thank the Honorable President. The last two speakers on this question number 2, will be Honorable Guam.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. President, I think you're very right to say that the question by the Honorable Leader of the Opposition is a bit like calling for a premature diagnosis and prescription. You are only visiting the doctor next week.
Order, order.
But I want to know from you today already, or she wants to know from you today already what lifestyle changes you are planning to make. We don't even know whether you have cholesterol or whatever the case may be. Nonetheless, I think we need to congratulate you for appointing this Commission of Inquiry into the arms deal.
Order, honorable members, order.
And to ask you please to apply your mind to the contents of the Commission's report as you've indicated before taking any action. Now, mindful of the risk to fall into the same trap than the Leader of the Opposition, does the government plan any interim steps to make sure that we prevent future problems that may occur with the procurement of arms? Thank you.
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Certainly, I think the arms deal in this country has been an experience that we must all learn from. Certainly, in future, if we were to undertake such a task, we'll certainly look at what happened in our experience and certainly take correct steps that we eliminate some of the things that might have caused problems. There's no doubt about it. Thank you very much.
I thank the Honorable President. Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. President, indeed the appointment of the Commission is a decisive step. But I think we need to remind ourselves that this matter first surfaced in this House in December 2001, which is more than 10 years ago, when the joint investigation report was released. Now, 10 years later, Mr. President, we received a letter from Lieutenant General Dramat, the head of priority crime, in which he indicated that there is one case which has been submitted to the prosecuting authority for a decision, and there's also a request for mutual legal assistance from abroad. I would like to know, Mr. Speaker, through the President, what will your view be, sir, with actions such as these that we were told will be taken? Should they be delayed, suspended, or stopped completely while the Commission is still going to take another 2 years to release a report? Thank you.
Sorry, you sit down. What is this action? Just make me hear you more clearly.
Thank you very much. With the Speaker's permission, thank you, Mr. President. In this letter, it says the one case has now been submitted to the prosecuting authority for a decision whether or not to prosecute and or advise on further investigation which may be required. The other case has also been referred to the prosecuting authority with a view to prosecutorial assistance being rendered in obtaining evidence from abroad through a request for mutual legal assistance. And my question through you, Mr. Speaker, to the President is, should this action which was suggested by Lieutenant General Dramat be stopped, suspended, or delayed whilst the Commission is preparing its report which they will release in 2 years' time? Thank you.
The Honourable President.
Well, Honourable Speaker, I don't know whether I should have the view about matters that are related to investigators and legal people who are writing letters to them. I don't think I'm qualified to take that decision. I think that decision must be taken by the authorities relevant. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
We now move on to question number 3, and question number 3 has been asked by the Honourable J.D. Killian. The Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, a lot of progress has been made to stabilize the situation in the Eastern Cape Education Department. Government has gone out of its way to ensure that all the issues of concern raised by our stakeholders are seriously considered in our quest to improve the standard of education in the province. In this regard, and through our quality learning and teaching campaign, we have a social compact with teacher unions and school governing bodies to ensure that teachers are in class on time with a textbook and teaching. Likewise, learners must arrive at school on time, disciplined and ready to learn. School governing bodies must ensure that their governance practice support schools to function properly and that a conducive environment for teaching and learning is created. We are working closely with all stakeholders to improve these outcomes, and we are making progress. For an example, the Eastern Cape Provincial Government and the South African Democratic Teachers Union signed an agreement which covers a number of aspects that seek to normalize the situation. The agreement signed on the 8th February this year was reached following a meeting between the Premier of the Eastern Cape, members of her Executive Council and COSATU leadership. One of the critical areas that all parties agreed on is the reinstatement of temporary teachers by the Provincial Education Department. SADU agreed to end the go-slow and pickets that they had embarked on in the effort to voice and demonstrate their concerns. This decision was communicated to all the provincial structures of the union in order to ensure that the strike action was halted and teaching resumed. all parties were accordingly in harmony with the view that relations needed to be urgently normalized so that the commitments in the agreement could be achieved. Therefore, the continued and active participation of all stakeholders, including teacher unions, school governing bodies, communities, and others, with a vested interest in the provision of quality education remains absolutely critical. Working together, we will ensure that the right of children to quality education is protected at all times. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable President. Is there a supplementary question? Honorable Killian?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. President, there seems to be a disjuncture between what this House is receiving in terms of information and undertakings, also from your office, sir, and what is really happening in grassroots in the Eastern Cape. As I am standing here today, those temporary teachers have not been appointed. 5,000 teacher vacancies still exist. It is the education system is nearing its end of the first term. We lost 7 million hours, teaching hours, during the COSATU strike action or go slow action. And the issue here is, does the Minister of Basic Education really have your full support for her intervention? She wanted to move in to clean out the education department, to remove the DG, to have the teachers appointed, to provide the textbooks, but she was stopped short. Now, the National Planning Commission indicates that the cooperation of teacher unions is a key component of turning the education system around. How will you ensure that we take the necessary steps to take COSATU, to take everybody on board, including the education DG of the Eastern Cape and the Eastern Cape ANC structure, so that we can attend to the critical
Honourable Member, time is
shortage
expired.
of teachers in that province? Thank you.
The Honourable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure the Honorable Member is aware that we have taken measures. I've just indicated what measures we have taken. We've taken measures precisely because there was a problem. There has been negotiations, agreements have been reached, and the agreement is being implemented. And of course, the Minister has my full support. And this is not just an individual matter, it's a government support that is given to the department. So we have taken measures. If you ask what measures we are going to take, we have taken measures. That's why there's an agreement. So all what we are looking at now is the implementation of the agreement, which has begun, including the issue of the head of department. So we have taken measures, Honorable Member. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank the Honourable President. The following Honourable members will have an opportunity to ask supplementary questions. That is Honourable Holomisa, Honourable Ponchane, and Honourable Reverend Mishwe.
Mr. Speaker and Honorable President, in light of the continuous interventions by the national government in some of the poorly performing provinces, has the time not come for the country to either review the power provinces possess in this quasi-federal provincial government system, or even consider doing away with this expensive system of government?
Honourable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Well, that could be a political opinion whether the time has come or not. Politicians have views about everything. The views of politicians are not always the same. So people could have views. Is the time Are they necessary? Whatever. Now, the honorable member, I think, should know that democracy is not cheap. It's very expensive, very costly, and it's time-consuming because you have got to negotiate, you have got to consult so that you get the consensus or the agreement of the majority. The provinces came into being as a result of a very serious discussions about what happens to power in a state. Should it be centralized at one place and therefore the people down having no role to play? Or should we have a system that devolves power so that people at different levels are able to participate in the decision making? This is what gave birth to 9 provinces instead of the 4 provinces that we had before, which were former republics. So it was a very deep discussion in terms of how democracy must be exercised in this country. And that's why we ended up with 3 tiers of government. You will have to go back to that department, to that discussion, and convince people that democratically, in fact, you need to centralize power in order to devolve the power. Well, that's a serious democratic issue, and our understanding, different understandings, as to what do you do with the power. Should it reside in Pretoria? Or should it be in provinces, as well as in local government? I think we should not confuse some of the difficulties in terms of the implementation and, in a sense, running the different levels of government with the existence of the provinces. This gives people at every level an opportunity to take decisions about their issues, about the people they know better.
I thank the Honourable President. May I take this opportunity to remind the honourable members that a follow-up question is actually what it's supposed to mean, a follow-up question. It's not an opportunity to ask new questions. It must be follow-up questions. Let's not smuggle new questions in. Honourable point, followed by the Honourable Mishra.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable President. Unfortunately, about the Eastern Cape, Mr. President, there is no Yizwa Mngoma. The situation is real. In the Eastern Cape, we have a situation where the MEC is prevented from visiting the school by a union member. We have a situation where teachers are choosing to embark on the programs which are aimed at improving the quality of education. This is the situation in the Eastern Cape. I hear the President saying there are measures that have been taken. I hear the President saying there is a February agreement. But at the heart of all this is the old agreement which is still there, which stipulates that there must be co-governance between the union and the department. Now, the officials of the department are held to ransom by the union. They can't act to implement the very same measures and the directive from the national department. Are we going to sacrifice the millions and thousands of the lives
Honourable Member, your time has expired. May I also remind members that we actually can hear you better if you speak into the mic. The Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I've just explained in this House that there is an agreement that has been reached to deal with the challenges in the Eastern Cape. The fact that the national government took measures to intervene, and the fact that I'm saying there has been discussions and that there is now an agreement, it means there were problems. No one says there were no problems in the Eastern Cape, but those problems are being addressed. the people who reached an agreement with government, the teachers, are the very teachers who have agreed that there must be a change in the situation. They will cooperate with the government. So the measures have been taken, they've been agreed to. So really to say, because as a result of the problems, we had to meet and have discussions, to ask the question as if nothing, while I'm saying these matters have been discussed and agreed and implementation is taking place, including the question of the head of department, who has been a subject of discussion. I have, in fact, answered the question. I can't answer the question as if these kind of activities have not taken place. They have. And agreements are being implemented in the Eastern Cape.
I thank the Honourable President. Reverend Mishwe. Of the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable President, I appreciate what you have been saying about agreements have been reached. It was not the first time that agreements were reached. In the past, some agreements were not honored. Now, government has made commitments that the ability of children to read and write is going to be improved. It is not happening. Today, according to the latest reports, the Eastern Cape has the highest absenteeism. And teachers are spending an average of 3.5 hours in class teaching, thereby undermining the 7 hours rule. So what I want to know from the President, that in spite of the agreements that have been made, does government have a plan or another plan, because other plans did not work? Does government have a plan this time that will work in order to enforce this 7-hour rule so that teachers will be in class to teach our children? The sad thing is to hear that parents are sacrificing money to send their children to the Western Cape to get better education because teachers in the Eastern Cape are failing their parents. So is there something new that government is going to do? Thank you.
Honourable President.
Well, Honourable Speaker, because this is Parliament, I can repeat the answer. The members have a privilege to ask the same question, and I'll give the same answer. Because nobody says there were no problems in the Eastern Cape. And these have been discussed, and that's the reason why the national government had to intervene, precisely because there were problems. These have been discussed, agreements have been reached. The very teachers have now agreed they are going to go back to class and teach. We are at a point where they now are busy implementing the agreement. How can we have another plan when we have a plan that we are implementing? It's unfair to say, do we have another plan? We have a plan that we are implementing, which is based on the agreement. That's what, President. Honorable Speaker, the transformation of the criminal justice system has progressed substantially. It is, however, not a singular event, but a continuing process to enhance service delivery. The criminal justice system review was completed in 2008, and the implementation of the review's recommendations through a 7-point implementation plan began in earnest in 2009. The 7-point plan focus areas now form part of the justice, crime prevention and security clusters service delivery agreement signed by all security cluster ministers with the President. The objective is to ensure that all people in South Africa are and feel safe. Simply put, we are working towards a system in which there is improved coordination between the police, prosecution authorities, courts, and correctional services to bring improved results in the fight against crime and corruption, as well as enhanced access to fair, equitable justice to all South Africans. Actions emanating from the 7-point plan and the delivery agreement have also been made part of the strategic frameworks and agendas of all departments and agencies. Tangible progress has been made on many fronts. For an example, successive reports have indicated a decrease in serious crime. The detection rate for crime as house and business robberies, as well as vehicle hijacking, has also significantly decreased. We are improving the integrity of the National Population Register. We have deployed the SANDF on the borders and ports of entry and are seeing progress in continuing the entry of counterfeit goods and illegal persons through the country's borders. Our courts have registered improved case finalization rates. For an example, the High Court with an average conviction rate of 84%. In addition to these measures, the Office of the Chief Justice has initiated case flow management and a process to set uniform norms and standards for the judiciary. Progress has been made to establish 26 additional Tutuzela care centers and victim support rooms at police stations in order to strengthen partnerships between government and communities in fighting crime. A community safety forum police policy has been in place with phased implementation schedule to start in 2012. These are just a few examples that indicate that integrated and coordinated interventions across the criminal justice system have had a very positive impact. The transformation program spans several planning cycles as a full-scale transformation program that is based upon continuous improvement practices. There are no exact end dates for the program as a whole. The time frames and targets have, however, been set and are reported on in relation to the various focus areas through the reporting cycles of the JCPS delivery agreement reports to Cabinet on a quarterly basis. Cluster reviews its delivery agreement and thus reviews the targets for each element of the project. The JCPS cluster is currently in the process of defining the delivery agreement, which sets out milestones, timelines, and deliverables. This process is being guided by the Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation Presidency, and the refined delivery agreement shall come into effect at the beginning of April this year. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable President. Is there a supplementary question? Honorable Ngwenya.
Ngiyabonga Somlomo. Ngibonge futhi nakumengameli ngempendulo ecacile nezwakala kahle Anginawo omunye umbuzo. Ngiyabonga.
I thank the honourable member. I have on my list the following speakers: Honourable van der Merwe, followed by the Honourable D. Schaefer, and the last question will go to the Honourable Swart. In that order. Honourable van der Merwe, follow-up question.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. Mr. President. Mr. President, with respect, I do not agree with you when you say that substantial progress has been made. I don't think that is correct. There has been some progress, but with the police it's 3, 4, 5%, which is not substantial. The court rolls are still it's sometimes impossible to get your case heard for a year or two. And then the main problem is with correctional services, overcrowding. So I think you are too optimistic, Mr. President. There is not a substantial improvement, just a moderate one.
Honourable the President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, I don't know what the Honourable member is using. That is different from what we have done, and we are on the job. We are not an onlooker. We are actually doing the job and doing the calculation and measurements. Absolutely. And what is new if an opposition member says, I disagree? Have you ever agreed on anything? There's nothing new there, really.
Mr. President, you must be fired.
That was a disagreement covered in agreement. Now, I think it is substantial. We are making progress, and we do this on a daily basis. And therefore, I don't think I agree with you when you say it's just 3, 4%. It's really calculating like a sangoma, because we are not there. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
I thank the Honourable President. Order, Honourable members. I have on my list the following Honourable members: D. Schaefer, Honourable N. Swart. And since 4 supplementary questions are allowed, the first question was not a supplementary question. So I'll then allow Honourable McIntosh to take that slot. Honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. President, my question relates to the transformation aspect of the judicial system. In terms of the recently released discussion document on the transformation of the judicial system, it says that government sees transformation largely in terms of the rationalization provided for in section 16(6) of chapter 6 of the Constitution. Given that this is a transitional provision in the Constitution, what in the President's view exactly still needs to happen before this transformation will be regarded as incomplete? Thank you.
The Honourable the President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Of course, transformation is a holistic thing. It's not one aspect. It must involve many, many other things. And there are many things that we believe still need to be transformed in the system. So it's not necessarily one aspect that we are looking at. We are looking at transforming the system totally. And I'm sure we could enumerate a lot of things that still need transformation. So we believe transformation is necessary.
I thank the Honourable President. Honourable S.N. Swart, you have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. Arising from your response, Honourable President, I'm sure you'll share the ACDP's view that prosecutors play an integral part of a successful criminal justice system. Indeed, it is they who are entrusted with securing convictions in all manner of criminal cases. However, Honourable President, according to the most recent strategic plan filed by the NPA, they indicated that prosecutors are faced on a daily basis with physical infrastructure constraints, such as inadequate accommodation, poor working conditions, and limited resources. And these conditions, according to the report, prevent prosecutors from performing at their best, which ultimately results in poor service delivery. And they also indicate in the report their high vacancy rate, which also impacts service delivery. Are you, Honourable President, aware of these challenges facing the National Prosecuting Authority and the impact on service delivery, and in particular on fighting crime? And if so, what action can government take to address these concerns? or should we as Parliament rather use our powers in terms of the Money Bills Amendment Bill to amend their budget to more money? Thank you, Speaker.
The Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Certainly, when we talk about transformation, it includes those matters that the prosecutors are talking about. That's why I said transformation is holistic. It deals with all of that. And therefore, but I'm sure if the member thinks that the Department of Justice needs to be given more money, and you can vote here unanimously, I'm sure the Minister of Justice will be very happy. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable McIntosh.
Thank you, Somlomo. Ang tembi zangoma mina. My question to the, Mr. Speaker, to the Honourable President, is in regard to the criminal justice system. Will the President consider appointing a judicial commission to firstly investigate whether by giving our high courts the freedom of due legal process to impose the death penalty for murder, this will be a factor in bringing our unacceptably high levels of murders and other violent crime down. And secondly, for the Judicial Commission to advise Parliament on what amendments to the Constitution will be required to give effect to allowing the High Court that freedom in sentencing.
The Honourable President.
Did I hear the Honourable Member the freedom to sentence people to death? Is that what you're saying? Well, really, I don't think I will take a decision and establish a judicial commission of inquiry on that issue. I would not. This is a decision that was taken by the Constitutional Court. And it is left like that. I won't do it. Absolutely. Very clear. You could raise the matter for debate in Parliament. I don't think you'll win it either. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
I thank the Honourable President. Just to remind members that a supplementary question may not consist of more than one question. It can't be a string of questions, just one question. We now move on to question number 5, which has been asked by the Honourable J.H. van der Merwe, the President.
Honourable Speaker, as you should be aware, there is already a constitutional amendment before Parliament which amends the powers of the Constitutional Court. This is the Constitution 17th Amendment Bill, which was introduced last year. Far from limiting the powers of the Constitutional Court, the bill, in fact, extends its jurisdiction. One of the provisions of the Constitution's 17th Amendment Bill concerns which cases can be taken on appeal from the Supreme Court of Appeal to the Constitutional Court. Currently, the Constitutional Court may consider appeals from the Supreme Court of Appeal that are constitutional matters, as well as issues connected with decisions on constitutional matters. The amendment will allow the Constitutional Court to consider any appeal on the grounds that the interests of justice require that the matter be decided by the Constitutional Court. I'm informed that deliberations on the bill are proceeding well in the Justice and Constitutional Development Portfolio Committee, and that all parties are approaching the discussions with a view to arriving at the best conclusion for the administration of justice in our country. Honorable Speaker, I must state that I am a bit surprised by the concerns that have been raised regarding amendments to the Constitution. The Constitution is a living document. As I pointed out in my reply to the State of the Nation address, it is meant to be reviewed annually by a committee of Parliament. The Constitution has already been amended 16 times since it was adopted in 1996. It is a perfectly normal exercise. As stated during the State of the Nation address, we reaffirm our commitment to advance the ideals of our country's constitution. We have alluded to the fact that the kind of assessment we are to embark upon is not unusual. For an example, universities and research institutions undertake research at times to evaluate the impact of jurisprudence on the lives of people. This year marks 17 years of our constitutional democracy and 15th anniversary of our Constitution. It is an opportune time to review the capacity of the three branches of the state in carrying out their respective constitutional mandates and how their efforts have contributed to the establishment of a truly free, equal, non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous society. Continuous assessments done in an open and transparent manner cannot possibly do any harm, especially given the legacy of colonial oppression and apartheid that we must eradicate. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development has released a discussion document on the transformation and role of the judicial system in the developmental South African state. We invite all stakeholders to participate actively to enhance and strengthen our democratic institutions. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable President. Supplementary question, the Honorable van der Merwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm afraid you have added to confusion and uncertainty about this matter. On the 8th of July last year, you said, the powers conferred on the courts cannot be superior to the powers resulting from the elections. Which brings into debate, which is supreme? Are we going back? Is it your plan to take us back to parliamentary supremacy or the Constitution? This is what the debate is about. And it is clear from what we read and hear that in fact it is the ANC and your, with respect, intention to eventually amend the Constitution so that supremacy comes back to Parliament. If you do that, with respect, you know we lawyers, if we want to be unfriendly, we say with respect. Mr. President, with respect, if you want to take away that pillar of the Constitution, it will be your duty to go back to a form of pressure.
The Honorable the President.
Well, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think the Honorable Member must not confuse himself and then claim that he's being confused by other people. The three arms of government have got very clear, distinct functions. very clear. And those must be respected. This parliament, its function is to legislate and conduct the oversight. Correct? Yes, he is nodding. That is his job. Whilst it is the arm that makes the laws, it does not interpret the laws. That's a duty of the judiciary, who must even check whether this arm has taken all the necessary constitutional understanding in making the law. Are they not infringing on the Constitution? Is your law constitutional? That's the job of the judiciary. The executive must run the country. That is its duty. It must indeed, in the process of all of this, these different arms respect one another. They work together. They must coordinate this because they belong to one and the same state. And that's why it is the duty of not the judiciary to review itself. It can do it if it wanted to. But other arms have that duty to do so. That's why this parliament has amended the Constitution 16 times. And dealing with the matters of the Constitution is the duty of other arms as well. The executive implements the Constitution as well. So what we are saying, if there are things that are done or decisions taken, or you could emerge as parliament and feel that there are things you believe they need to be looked at. And that's why the judiciary could send back a law to say, hey, it's not imposing on you, it is exercising its duty. That's why we've got the reviewing committee here. We are not imposing or trying to change the Constitution. We are doing our duty. All what we are saying, that in the process of governance, we have got to come to a point where you say, let us relook at this. Is it moving properly? Particularly if we are emerging from a system that we came from, wherein we've got still to try to get rid of the remnants of some of the negative things that were there. That's the point we are making. We are not intending, sitting every day to intend to change the Constitution. Not at all. We would have done so if we wanted to. We have got enough majority to do so. Absolutely. We would. I'm telling you.
Order,
you don't know. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I have the following list of speakers. Order, honourable members. Honourable Mazibugo, Honourable Ndlovu, Honourable Holomisa, in that order.
Much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the Honourable Minister Khatebe's discussion document, or in his announcement about the discussion document on the transformation of the judiciary, he noted that the review would be carried out both by independent institutions and by the executive. This was despite a previous statement last year in which he said it would be carried out only by an independent institution. In the President's reply to the State of the Nation debate, he committed himself to the separation of powers and to upholding this separation. Will the President not concede that the Executive's decision to play a part in this review is itself a serious infringement of the separation of powers? And if so, will he insist that only an independent institution should conduct the review? Because, Mr. Speaker, how, for example, would this government feel if the judiciary were to decide to do a wholesale review of its policies and its procedures and its programs of action? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable the President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I've just said these three arms have got different functions. And I don't think the judiciary could stand up and say, we want now to review all policies. We are a government. We are a government. Our functions are not the same. We are a government governing a country. That's the difference.
Order, honourable members, order. Let the president behave.
This is one of that at times people say some people want to co-govern. We are a government. What does a government do? Runs a country. And it has a duty on the mandate given by the people to ensure that things go according to what the people want. Even if we are three arms, but we don't do the same function. And you cannot compare in that way to say simply because government, which is governing, wants to do certain things, then if that is the case, it means the judiciary also has a right. They are not a government. They are not a government. I think we must make that distinction. You cannot elevate people to do the tasks they're not supposed to do. Just like Parliament. Parliament has particular functions that cannot be done by these other two arms. It can only be done by Parliament. That's what it is. Because the independence of these are not absolute. They're relative. That's what it is. Because we are governing a country. That's the reality. So what the minister has said is absolutely correct. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable V. Bindovu.
Ngiyabonga Somlomo. Hlonishwa Mongameli. Imoto iyiswa egarage ngoba uyosevisa ngoba ukhona ukubhedayo kuyona. Ukhona omakhenika abakhanda imoto ngoba isuke ingalungile lawo moto. Ngabe impendulo yakho isho njalo yini Mongameli ukuthi into esiyenza la endlini kufanele iyobhekwa ngoba nakho ayilungile ukuze sikwazi ukuyilungisisa. Usho njalo?
The Honorable the President.
Ngiyabonga Somlomo. Into angayishongo ilungu leParliament ehloniphekileyo fana abantu. Kukhona abayisa imoto ukuthi yoservice ngoba kukhona konakele. Kukhona abayisa kungokanaka lutho ngoba ufuna imoto yabo ihlala iqondile ithetho. Angisho ukuthi thina sithumela izinto ziyolungiswa ngoba sekukhona konakele na. Hayi. Sizama ukwakha sakhisise isimo sokubuswa kwezo ukuthi libuseke ngendlela ephilayo. Njengoba siqhubha nje siwuhulumeni, mhlawumbe ongaphandle kahulumeni akakuboni lokho. Kukhona izinto esizibona ukuthi ayihambi kahle, ifuna ukulungiswa. Kufana nomuntu onemoto, ongenamoto, ngeke athi ngiyoservice ayiservice le moto yakho. Udriver lo driver uthi ngiyoyiservice manje. Injalo indaba. Katsheni. Siyabonga Somlomo.
I thank the Honorable President. Honorable Holomisa, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. Speaker, President, ingxaki wena mhlekazi uhulumende lo wakho nisenbe baninzi abathetha into abayitolika abanye omnyathethe once babe phambi kwemic bakhuphe i-messages as different. But ke ndizawubuza umbuzo ozawunceda uba usicacisele siyivale le nto namhlanje. You were quoted in the media as having said that the primary purpose of assessing the work of the Constitutional Court was to review its powers. However, later on, government issued a statement purporting to explain your media pronouncements that the primary purpose of this exercise was to conduct an assessment of the judgments of the Constitutional Court. Can you take the nation into your confidence, sir, by explaining what prompted the exercise this exercise in the first instance? And also clarify which of the aforementioned the government intends doing. Ngawucacise ngoba manje sesiyabhula nqamalala saboni kahle.
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. These different arms of government, they have powers. All that they do in practice derive from the powers. Whether you make the laws, you use your power that you have as parliament, and you make the law. Those who look at the law might, and they have done it in the past, say that your law is unconstitutional. So in exercising your power, we have not always been accurate as this House. There are laws that have been brought back. Because in the process of the exercise of your power, you might make mistakes, not deliberately. The executive has been taken to task on decisions it makes on the basis of the power that it is given by the Constitution as well. Equally, the judiciary makes decisions, judgments, that at times are actually turned by itself. Other levels of court make judgments. The higher courts turn them around to say your judgment was not right. So the issue of power and decisions, you can't separate these. And if you say we are reviewing and assessing whether these emanating from the power, decisions or functions that have been undertaken, are they fine? We just want to make sure that everything is done according to what needs to be done in the country. And that's what we are saying. The very fact that this parliament has in fact reviewed about 16 aspects of the Constitution, that tells you the story. That there is nothing that it can be solved, that it has no mistake. Only God made people, made no mistakes. We make mistakes. He had to sacrifice his son to come and help us. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We now move on to question number 6. Order, honorable members, which has been asked by the Honorable P.J. Groenewald, the Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, following the decision of the Constitutional Court in 2010 relating to this case, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development launched a media campaign inviting victims and interested to make representations in respect of 149 cases. The response has been positive. Victims and interested parties have responded, requesting information including actual applications for pardon in respect of certain applicants. The victims and interested parties were requested to respond to the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development within 30 days. The Secretariat recently received a letter requesting a 60-day extension from the Resource Center, acting on behalf of the South African Coalition for Transitional Justice, which consists of the South African History Archives, the Center for Transitional Justice, and the Kulumani Support Group. The applicants will also have days to submit their replies. Once all has been processed, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development will submit the applications to me for my final decision. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Honorable President. Is there a supplementary question, Honorable Groenewald?
Honorable Speaker, can I just, from the beginning, say to the Honorable President, in the past, the Constitution was changed 4 times to ensure that defection from one party to another party can take place in this House. The ANC needed the 75% for that, and the DA gave you that 75%, so you can count on the DA for another 75%. Honorable Speaker, thank you, Honorable Minister. As far as I
Order,
have the
honorable members,
information,
order.
that the notice was in October 2010, where an invitation was extended to parties to respond to the 149 cases. As you have said, another 60 days and another 60 days, it takes about to April 2011. In June 2011 last year, I posed a question for written reply in this House on the progress. And unfortunately, Honorable President, your department did not respond. It's a bit disrespectful towards the institution of Parliament. But if I listen to the you've given for responses and everything, it's almost a year from that. So can I ask the Honorable President, seeing that it is a year from all the responses received and all the time frames given, when can we expect finalization on this matter? It already comes from 2007. Thank you, Honorable President.
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable the Speaker. Of course, the response will depend on how quick the process is that of the people who have asked for the extension is able to move. What we cannot do is to jump the process. We can't. Once every other thing has been done to ensure that we've got all the facts and completed processes in front of us, then we act. Without that, we cannot act. And I can't give an answer when this will be.
I have the following names on my screen. Honorable Msweli, Honorable Sibanyoni, and Honorable D. Smuts, in that order. You seem to be doubting your name, Honorable van der Merwe.
Well,
I didn't call your name.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, I pressed the wrong button. But,
Oh, it looks like it.
Well, Mr. Speaker, rising from the President's response that the process actually has some bottlenecks, I wanted actually to find out from the President if there are any mechanisms that he is actually thinking of to actually, you know, deal with the bottlenecks in the process, because this matter has been going on for far too long, and those people are still languishing in jail. And can the President actually assure us that indeed this matter is going to receive his urgent attention?
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Well, the Honorable Member, I'm sure he would not want me to break the rules and do what I think is good for me and not follow the law and the procedure. I don't even think I can be suggesting anything, because all what I'll be doing, I'll be saying, this law is delaying me, let me just do my own things. I think we all have to respect the processes and also respect the right of people. If, for an example, they ask for an extension, you can't say, look, this thing has been here, I don't grant you. They are legally allowed to do so, and you have got to treat them fairly. I said earlier, it's time consuming, because we have got to do things appropriately according to the law. So that's what we are doing. So I can't suggest that I'm going to do something outside of the law. I've got to stick to the law and wait for the process to conclude and for matters to be put before me. Then I act. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank the Honorable President. Honorable Sibanyoni, you have the floor.
Ngisikima nokuthokoza somlomo. Mengameli ngithokoza ihlatulo yakho ehle begodu ekarisako. The reference group was designed to complete the state of affairs that has been termed by some as the unfinished business of the TRC. This gave an opportunity for parties represented here in Parliament to participate in an area which is the prerogative of the President, namely to grant pardons, irrespective of their proportional vote, nor irrespective of whether they were involved in the conflict of the past. Honorable Grunewald is a member of the Cabinet Nogal, and the process is in the public domain. My question, President, is the President aware why Honorable Grunewald does not know the process and the progress made in finalizing the presidential pardon as fully explained?
Meneer de Speaker, punt van orde.
Yes, you are not a member of the Cabinet. Yes. You want to correct something, that you are not in the Cabinet yet.
I just want to ask Chairperson whether it is in order that an uninformed member of Parliament can come and talk nonsense in Parliament.
Correction, Speaker. His leader, I wanted to say it was a slip of the tongue, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, Honorable demoted and wrong Cabinet member. Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Of course, the Honorable member was asking the question because I'm sure he wants to know. I think I've given him the answer. He must be happy now because he has the answer. He is now informed because I cannot, to satisfy the desires, break the rules. I can't. And I've just explained what is the process and where the process is. I'm sure he's happy now. Thank you.
Honorable Smarts.
Mr. Speaker, there is another reason why finalization might in this case take longer than any of us would want, apart from those that the President has very properly invoked. The process may take longer and it can't be, in your words, jumped. I agree with you. But that reason is one on which I really would like to hear his views. Now, given the Honourable President's assurances that his recent controversial remarks on the Constitutional Court's powers of judicial review didn't mean anything, or what they appeared to say, given those assurances, does he therefore accept that his decisions on these pardon applications will be capable of being subjected to judicial review? And I ask it specifically because the Honourable President, together with the Honourable Minister of Justice, in the very Constitutional Court case to which he has just referred, Albert, you challenged, sir, the contention that the presidential pardon power is administrative action and therefore reviewable. I did accuse you at the time of behaving like Henry VIII in this respect. And like Henry VIII in other respects, but in those I complimented you for your civilization. Sir, here, and this addresses the point of where we all derive our powers from. The fact is that the Honourable President cannot claim the power of pardon from ancient royal prerogative. The Constitutional Court has said this, that regardless of the historical origins of the concept, the President derives this power not from antiquity, but from the Constitution itself. It is that Constitution that proclaims its own supremacy. Should the exercise of the power of pardon in any particular instance, whether it is argued to be administrative or executive action, should it in any particular instance be such as to undermine any provision of the Constitution, that conduct would be reviewable. Do you agree, sir, that your decisions, your impending decisions on these pardons, and they are difficult decisions, will be capable of being subjected to judicial review?
The Honourable the President.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, well, I thought that all decisions taken by these arms, individuals serving in these arms, if there are parties that feel these decisions are not fair, they always take them further. I don't think it excludes the president. I don't think so. I think you take the decisions unless the constitution say you cannot review decisions taken by the president, which is a different matter. Because if that is explicit in the constitution, then means you have got to follow the constitution. That's why even decisions taken by judges who are supposed to know it all, other judges come in and say your decision was wrong. I'm saying constitutional democracy. I don't think you can say there are decisions that are not reviewable at all. Because as long as there is a citizen who feel aggrieved about your decision, what must they do? There must be a recourse. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the President. Honorable members, that concludes questions to the President.
Honorable Speaker.
Oh, yes, sir. Let me finish. Honorable President, you are free to leave us if you wish to, but you are free to stay, and we'll encourage you to stay. Honorable member.
Honorable Speaker, I'd like to find out whether it's in order of this House for an honourable member to take photographs in this House. I can actually point out...
It is absolutely not allowed. According to the rules, unless you amend it, the ones we have, the 7th edition says no. Okay, if there are any pictures taken, we'd like whoever took the pictures to delete the pictures. Order, honourable members, order. We now come to notices of motion. Does any member wish to give notice of a motion? Honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, I shall propose at the next sitting of the House